Well, good evening, everybody. And I say evening, it's about 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here from the Omni in downtown Atlanta. Of course, this is the Jimmy Palumbo Show number 172. Well, here it is, the Jimmy Palumbo Show. That's right. Show number 172 here. I'm coming to you live from downtown Mawa in the Average Dining Room Studios. Of course, this is show number 172. By the way, when are we going to start numbering the shows, which maybe that'll be a funny thing? Show number 7,000, an aging Jimmy Palumbo here. And of course, behind the glass, producer, wrestler, producer of the stars of everything that is wrestling and sports, coming to you from downtown Matawan. Where are you at now? I don't even know your home. Where do you live?
I don't disclose my home address.
Oh, that's right. He's coming from his secret studios, secret podcast man. That's a new song on records, on Sony Records and Tapes. Behind the glass, your friend and mine, Mr. Dave Sturchio. Dave, how are we doing on this fine Tuesday?
I am doing fine. It is indeed a fine Tuesday here at Shea, but a lot going on. I mean, you yourself had a big weekend, and I'm excited to talk about.
We are 2 weeks away from your wrestling. Now, in a huge announcement, it has been reported that Jimmy Palumbo, a.k.a. Johnny Trino, Michael Deej, a.k.a. Alphonse from Beer League, will be in attendance at the Tiki Bar at Point Pleasant.
Can I promote that?
Oh, for sure. Matter of fact, I'm trying to get the whole cast down there. I've been sending some private texts.
If for whatever reason, Maganelli shows up,
I'm even gonna try Maganelli.
Get a hell of a promo out of him, man, and just have you guys go at it for a little while.
That's it. And Trino and Maganelli are going at it. I'll drop a leg on him. There's a reference, Palumbo, for a quick 3 here at the 12:13 mark. Yes, I know. As you know, Dave's got a huge wrestling thing going on at the Tiki Bar, middle of the summer. I hope the weather's great. People are going to be hanging out, drinking some beers, watching some wrestling. I'll be drinking beers and watching men inside this square device.
There's women too, Jimmy. There's women too. In fact,
there'll be a lot of chicks there, I'm sure. Chicks are into wrestling.
Some of the two featured girls that we have are doing their pre-show from 5 to 7. Jimmy, let's just say they batted 706 in the majors.
Okay.
Let's just say that you will be in for a treat, as will anybody else.
Yeah, listen, I'm a mistake hitter, so I'll just go down there and see if they throw a slider that doesn't slide here. Hit it off the pesky pole. But that's going to be great. That's in 2 weeks, starting at 5 o'clock, I think, when the doors open.
The pre-show meet and greet is 5 o'clock, and then
if you're down the shore, get your ass down there. It's a Tuesday night. Go have some fun. The Tiki Bar is always fun anyway. Go there and check out this wrestling stuff. I don't claim to know. I'm a Chief J Strongbow guy from the 80s. I don't know anything, but I'm gonna go down there and bust balls and have a good time.
So that's in lieu, by the way. That's in lieu of my card today. Before you get into your card, my card is official ticket to the War on the Shore.
Okay, we'll go. Okay, well,
they're on sale now. They're on sale now. I'll plug it real quick. warontheshore.eventbrite.com. Get your tickets. First and second row sold out. We're looking good right now.
Now, if you Google War at the Shore, it'll come up.
War on the Shore. War on the Shore. Yeah.
War on the Shore.
Eventbrite. Yeah. Eventbrite's been really good to us. Real easy to use. And except for the fees they take out. So we don't see all the money. It's like,
how much are tickets, give or take?
How
much are tickets? Like 30?
The general admission tickets right now that are left are $30.
Okay, so you get about $4 out of that goes to your bucket.
Something to that effect, yeah.
And the Tiki Bar comes in, hits a quick 3. Eventbrite with a sky jam. Sturchio is left on the end of the bench here. 4 minutes, 6 points. I know how that works. It's such a shitty way, but it's the only way until the world changes in events. You can't do anything about that. All right, well, we do the card at the beginning of the show. Dave led off with his for the first time. That's a unique thing. And he went with his War on the Shore ticket, which is very funny. I, of course, am going with a guy I know And I'm going to call this guy the asshole because I looked this guy up and down, and there's nothing. And you're going to know why once I rattle off why. I don't know personally. Of course, I'm saying that in quotes, but he was a guy right here, Mr. Jack Clark. Okay, do you remember Jack Clark? Listen, this guy was
Jack Clark. Reminds me of Jack Parkman.
Right. Well,
from the Major League movies.
This guy, see, you're going right to the movie end of it. Well, listen, this guy, 18 years. I got his 1989 Don Russ card. He played from 75 to 92. He had 1,800 hits. He batted 267, 340 home runs, 1180 RBIs. He had a little Stanton issues in the last 8 years where he couldn't stay on the field that much. He played for the Giants, Cardinals, Yankees for 1 year, Padres, and Boston. Now, he played with the Yankees in 88. I remember him being on the Yankees, but I thought he kind of sucked. And then he batted 242, 27 home runs, 93 RBIs. We know that's about $20 million a year in today's game. He batted 300 in the postseason with the Cardinals. They lost to the Royals. In 1988, he was traded by the Yankees with Pat Clements for these three guys: Stan Jefferson, Jimmy Jones, and Lance McCullers. Three nobodies there. When he was with the Giants, he was publicly how he hated the cold. Then there was rumors it took too long for him to recover from injuries. Now, he had a rift with Frank Robinson, who's all intents what I heard as a stand-up guy. With the 85 Cardinals in Game 6, he had some fielding errors in the ninth inning there that cost him the game. He had a rift with Ozzie Smith. So far we got rift with Frank Robinson, now Ozzie Smith. That's two Hall of Famers. Then in 88, he liked playing for Billy Martin, but he had a rift with manager Lou Piniella. So now we're up to three guys had a rift with. Okay. And then he goes to the Padres. And who's the most famous Padre of all time?
Tony Gwynn.
Okay. Tony Gwynn had 11,000 hits in 27 games. Okay. And who does he have a rift with?
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn. Okay. And then he has a rift with the manager. Okay. And then he retires. He goes on the radio and he has a rift with another first baseman that had pretty good stats. Albert Pujols, decent stats. It's between him and Garrick. And he had a rift by saying he was on steroids, this, that, the other thing. He gets fired from the radio because none of it was true. And even though it could be true, but he was quoting, this is way back. So he was quoting people that didn't never talk to him and all that stuff. He's been in bankruptcies twice. He buys cars. He's like a mess. And so everywhere I read, that's why I think I just pretty much
seems like a stand-up guy. I don't know what you're talking about. It seems like he's just legitimately a nice dude.
Yeah, maybe he's got a little Dave Stern show in him right there. Dave Destruction right there. No, but there's nothing positive on this guy anywhere on the internet. So I laughed at that. But one thing though, he was a pretty good hitter. There's no doubt about that. Pretty good righty power hitter. So that's my guy, Jack Clark. A lot of people are fans of him when he played with the Cardinals and stuff. So that's my guy. And of course, you got the ticket. We're on the shore. And that's how we go here on the card portion of the Jimmy Palumbo here on a beautiful Tuesday. Of course, we have Patreon. We are still hanging at 42. There are no Spider Lockharts out there. Venditti just drove off the road again. I just want to give a shout out to Kevin Marzola, buddy of mine who's always willing to come over and help me out with, especially when I got auditions or give me rides to airports and stuff. Good man, good Yankee fan. Also to Darryl Clark, of course, and Rob Pastor, who's a Kappa Sig from back in the day. And of course, your friend and mine, Mr. I will own the comment section of this live broadcast, Tyson Hogan, getting involved here from the Omni. So if anybody wants to go to patreon.com, patreon.com, and you could, there's all kinds of ways to donate. $3 a show or $3 a week, or you could do, I think they could do limits. You say, I'll give them $100 over $3 over 40 months, whatever the hell it works. There's all kinds of things like that. Go check it out, patreon.com. And of course, if you're feeling a little banged up physically, you've got to go to chasingmiracles.com. Why, Dave? Because the patches have shit your body needs. Now, I got to ask you, you've been on them. Have you noticed anything at all? A little
Tell you
Anything you
what,
could.
I've been a little bit more I don't know the word. I don't want to say flexible, limber, I guess, like a little bit more try like a million different supplements over the time and not I mean things work, but like this, I just feel like it's a little different and in the best way. So shout out to
And
those
it
guys. They
and
definitely got me feeling
it's easy to put on. It's no big. You just got to
yeah,
take
I
it
mean,
off.
like, and if you're not specifically hurting in an area, you put it on the top of your spine, and I guess it just kind of flows
Right.
throughout your body. I don't listen. I'm not a
Yeah.
scientist. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. I just
There
realized
you
that
go.
this stuff works. So
I
go
know
for
my
it.
mother's a big fan. All her friends are big fans. Um, so you got to check out chasingmiracles.com. Go again. The best line I could say is that shit your body needs. You don't even know what's going on, but you can still pee in the cup. You can still play in the NFL if you're using these. And go check it out. You got to talk to Tommy and Donna. They know all about. They have different patches. Ones that even for pain, if you really hurt specifically, and for this these stem cell patches, which help inside with the body and cells and all that stuff. All right. I would be remiss. I have to give a shout out. A friend of the family passed away at 97 years old, Flo Paragallo. And the reason why it's interesting, number one, her husband, Lou Paragallo, was on my dad's softball team, Corona, which started in 1967. And he was a original member of the band. She was very influential in girls' high school sports. She was the NJSIA. She was involved in that. She was an athletic director at Mother Seton. She graduated the Panzer College, which was a huge phys ed teacher college back in the day, which got swallowed up by Montclair State. My sister graduated there. Now it's just called the Panzer School at Montclair, but it's still, she was 97 years old. She really was a pioneer in girls' women's sports across the board. Her and her husband were. Her husband Lou was athletic director over at Clark High School, or Arthur Johnson Regional, if I call it Clark High School. Just one of those people that were involved in high school sports for 70 years. Just the only way.
And maybe also the last person to be ever named Flo.
That's it. She's Flo.
I don't know if you bring that back. Like I'm not sure.
You know what? She's one of the Flo on the insurance company.
Progressive commercials. Yeah, I guess she counts.
There you go. A quick 3 from Flo from Progressive from the Omni. But I just want to give a shout out to the kids: Bruce, Ron, Wayne, Gary, and Tracy. Gary also played softball for Corona, and Tracy is good friends with my sister. Love you guys. Your mother was cool. My mother got to hang out with her over the last 25 years. On their weekly dinners when these 5 or 6 couples got together, and basically they drank and partied in their 70s, which my mother enjoyed it. And she was a sweet person, good people. The Paragallos are excellent people, long time Colonia, New Jersey family. Everybody knows the Paragallos in New Jersey. So, well, that being said, this weekend I was at, I'm wearing the shirt here, obviously. I was at Rocks and Ribs Festival in Sussex County. Went to go see a bunch of bands up there. One of them was Molly Hatchet and Blackberry Smoke. And Bobby Ingram was kind enough to let me come on stage. I had put his guitar on. I could play a chord or two. And I went up there during Flirt with Disaster on the encore. And there I am, wearing another Hatchet shirt. Listen, they're an old time band. These guys they're so sweet. The bass player, the drummer, they're just a bunch of old guys who they fly in from the South to come in. They do a show. But the cool thing was I was also, so shout out to Bobby Ingram for letting me do that. It was a lot of fun. I had people out there like from Ramsey and Colonia that were like, what is Jimmy Palumbo doing up there playing with Hatchet? So that was a big thrill for me. But a really cool thing happened. There's a band called Blackberry Smoke, and Charlie is the lead singer, guitar player, and writer. And they got a song called Say a Prayer for the Little Man. And it's just a really, just anybody listening, go Google Blackberry Smoke, Say a Prayer for the Little Man. It's really a beautiful song, especially if you've ever been in a divorce or anything like that. When I have trouble even getting through the song. I used to love the song, and then, you get a divorce and you have a child, and the song really, it's a beautiful song. So backstage, these bands, they come in and out at a festival. They're not backstage for long. They come in and they're out of there. They don't hang out and party, like you think they do. Or some bands do, I guess, but not these kind of bands. And all of a sudden, there he is standing over there, and we're getting pictures. My cousin John was there, and he's a big fan of Blackberry Smoke. And so next thing you know, I'm standing right next to him, and I'm just like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I said, "I'm Jimmy Palumbo." He looked at me like I was an oil painting. And I just said to him, I said, "Hey, Charlie, man," I said, "you got that song, Say a Prayer for the Little Man." And he goes, "Yeah." I go, and I don't know what happened to me. I just became like, I got in a serious discussion. I was like, dude, man, that song is powerful, man. I said, I liked it. And then I got divorced. And I said, a couple of years after I got divorced, I would hear that song come on and I have to pull over. I'd be like bawling my eyes out in the car. And he's looking at me, and all of a sudden now, like, everybody else is like, who's this asshole talking to like the star of the night, And he's like, "Hey, and he starts telling me, well, I wrote it for my older son. I got a divorce." And he starts explaining that. And he goes, "But, I got a 10-year-old son, and he kind of thinks it's written for him." And I just told him one time, yeah, it's for you. It's for you. But then one day he's like, "Dad, I understand, but the song was written well before I was born," that kind of thing. And so we laughed over that. I said, I have a daughter, so it's not a little man. But if you just flip the gender, the song still works really wonderful. And if you ever listen to it,
you can do that.
Yeah, of course. And he left, but he was totally like, "Hey, man," I said, "I know you don't play it live." He goes, No, we do. We did it around 6 shows ago. It's not in our regular, things that they do. And then I was hoping that he was going to play it, Rocks and Rib, but I had to leave because about 8 songs in, it was raining. I had no umbrella. I had no chair. I was unprepared for the elements.
Do you think it's like, do you own an umbrella?
I do. It lives in my car, of course.
Like, I don't. Like, is it, like, I don't find myself ever.
Okay. I am not an umbrella.
Where I'm like, I need my umbrella. I feel like it's very.
Okay. Listen to me though.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I get it. I'm the same way. I have one. I rarely use it. However, it's one of those things where if you're not prepared for a weather event, it can absolutely ruin. Like you think you're like a tough guy. Like, I want to go to the giant Cowboy game.
It's not a tough thing. It's more or less like, it's just another thing.
You're never walking outside.
I worry about the convenience of the people around me. Like, oh, this fucking guy's got an umbrella. Like, it's up in my space. And it's so like, I'm like, I'll just suffer. I'll just do the whole, my dad does this. When it starts to rain, he goes, he just,
I know, but
like, that's going to protect anything.
I know, but that's like when you're outside for only like 3 minutes, rain. I hate those people. Got to get my umbrella. Like, it's 10 feet away. You'll be inside. I'm with you on that. However, if you are backed up on your own 4 and it is raining and you're outside and you got kids and you're at a game that you want to go. And by the way, when it's 80 degrees and it rains, it's like, moderate. What about those giant games where it's like 41 degrees here, cloudy skies, raining here? Okay.
It was a torrential downpour for me and my brother on opening night last year, and we didn't move.
But it wasn't cold. Okay. So you could get caught.
It was like
always have an umbrella. No, it wasn't. It was summertime. Don't be a jerk. But I agree with you, though. Some people have an umbrella like it's, well, New York City, you have to have an umbrella because sometimes you got to walk 10 blocks. You can get drenched. You know what it is? You and I don't.
But again, that goes to my point. Like, you're officially, you can knock somebody out with that thing because it's just so wide and big. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm the asshole.
No, you're not. Not when you're going into. If you were going into a wrestling meeting and you have to have a suit on and it was raining, you need an umbrella. You walk in all wet to the meeting, you look like a jerk.
Fair, I guess.
But I'm with you. Some people are umbrella phobic and some people are like, if someone sneezes, they got to have an umbrella. So I totally agree with you on that. But anyway, shout out to Charlie at Blackberry Smoke. Please check out the song "Say a Prayer for the Little Man." It's a very cool song. So now, other news. So many late breaking stories going on here on the Jimmy Palumbo Show here, Jay. Softball last night. We only have 2 losses. I was last week, like I said, I was 0 for 3, and then Wednesday game, torrential downpour, was rained out. Literally, we were on the field first pitch, and a hurricane hit the field. The game should have never started. I'm telling you, I'm like, what are you doing? Call this. We ended up, trees were falling down all around my house. It was awful. But we played last night. I was 1 for 3. So I am I'm batting 500 right now, 12 for 24. And they keep stats, which is very funny. I sent it to you.
It's literally like a website. Like it's like an ESPN.com.
They might have given me a hit on another play. So I could have 13 hits. I'm not sure. I will check the official website of the league. But you know what was awful? But okay, I'm batting like 500. Okay. But here's what's awful. First time up, I hit such a lazy fly to the right fielder. Like I hit it early, I hit it by my hands. It went up in the air. It actually hurt my hands for a second. Like it was such a shitty out, right? So second time up, I'm sitting next to one of the guys, Julius, on our team. And I'm like, I haven't got hit in my last 4 at-bats. He goes, really? I go, yeah. I said, you know what? I'm pissed. I should be hitting better than this. And I said, you got to pull the ball. When you're in a slump in softball, you got to just pull the ball. So I look at him and he's up behind me. And I'm like, I'm going to see how good the third baseman is, right? And he laughs at me. He goes, I'm going to pull the ball. I go, I'm going to hit it as hard as I can right to him. It's either going to go over his head or it'll be a fly out to the left fielder. So he's looking at me like, who's this? This kid's like 30. He's looking at me like, who is this old guy? He has no idea that I played in 5,000 softball games, okay? And I get up, first pitch. Dude, I hit a rope down the third base line, beat the third baseman down the line. I get to first base. I turn around. He's got his hands up like this. It's like, he's looking at the other teammates going, he just called it. He said he was going to do that. And then I got to make something, right? So now I'm 1 for 2. So later, I'm playing a little second base. No balls hit to me. We're beating the shit out of this team. I was not part of the game at all. So I get up for the last time, right? Classic Jimmy Palumbo asshole. I thought there were 2 outs. Okay. One thing I do not do in softball in my illustrious 41-year career, okay? I don't hit ground balls to the pitcher, ever. Don't ask me why. I just don't, all right? And for some reason, and I am not fast, I don't ground into double plays. Maybe it's because I hit the ball so weak sometimes I can leg it out. I don't know. So I think there's 2 outs. What happens? I hit a chopper to the pitcher. And I was almost like, what? In my head, like, and I just kind of did I'll run like Giancarlo to first. I didn't like throw the bat and walk in. Next thing you know, I thought the pitcher was going to just throw a little lob over and I was out, 3 outs. He wheels to second to shortstop. Now all of a sudden I'm like, hey, it's like, what up?
I was going to say, at what point did you realize you're about to become
I realized when their best player is a shortstop and this pitcher wheeled and threw a rocket to him. And I'm like, and then I realized I actually saw the play in front of me. Like I was out by 9 steps. I turned around. I was like, you go back to the bench.
What were the teammates thinking about that?
I knew I had to address this immediately. I was like, I thought there was 1 out. I thought there was 2 outs. And of course, this team's real friendly. They all high five you anyway. Like, don't worry about a good job. Like, I'm like, no. This is unacceptable. Like, I was literally on the bench saying, you can't do that. Because if it was
somebody else, you'd be down their throat.
For sure. But we end up winning the game. So I'm batting around 500, which is exciting here, Jay. And but I had 2 bad at bats. So the 9th round pick is starting to like look a little, doesn't look as sharp. Also, pickleball, things are falling apart. I'm having a rough couple of weeks.
You're prime time all of a sudden, man. You're just doing it all, man. You got your pickleball game in daytime, then you're just flying down in the nighttime. You get off your private jet to get something else.
My pickleball game is eroding like the Grand Canyon. You know what it is? Pickleball, this is something unique about this sport. It's a new sport, so everyone is naturally getting better. So even if you suck, but you play 5 times a week, which I don't, you get better. So I was really good. Like, I think I was better the first week I started playing. I really do. Like, I'm thinking, I was playing last night for an hour. I'm like, I stink. So I told my partner, I'm like, so I missed a shot, and I went, oh, I stink. And he's like, no, Jimmy, you're playing fine. I'm like, no. I stink. And I looked at him. I go, you stink worse than me. But I don't care about that. I said, I stink at this game. We should be killing these guys. This is awful. I'm not. You know what? I'm losing I don't know what's going on. I have to rebound pickleball.
Father
Struggling in
time,
softball.
undefeated. Father time, undefeated.
You know, I don't know what's going on here at Shea. It's embarrassing. It's the easiest fucking game. I swear to God, you can. Like I told you, if you can't play pickleball, you should be at the doctor, chiropractor, getting your health checked. You should be on the go to chasing. If you can't play pickleball, you should be on the stem cell patches. Because if you can't play pickleball, you are not an athlete. You are nothing. It is so. I think darts. Anyway, you've heard my spiel on this. It's such an easy game. It's like wiffle ball. I mean, oh my God. Anyway, it's just an easy game, and when you suck at it, makes it worse. Of course, there was a little trade in the NBA. The New York Knickerbockers decided to trade just about every future pick they'll ever have in America for, is it Mikal? How do you say it? Michael Bridges? How do you say it?
Yeah, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges. I got to admit, I knew him, but I don't. The Nets.
So basically, what you're doing is, I know more about him than you do, but what you're doing right now is you're giving him the OG treatment that you gave OG when we made that trade. You're like, I don't really know him. It's not going to work out. This is probably stupid.
Fair enough. It's fair enough.
And
however,
that's going to be a lot of the casuals fans that don't follow the Nets, because the Nets were basically unwatchable last year.
Right. So, but that's why. But hang on a second now. Yes, I agree. Your assessment is correct in terms of that. But they gave up some players for OG that I thought stunk anyway. So that's fine. And as a sports fan, any sport, draft picks are always like, wow. And 5 first-round draft picks. That's like 5 years. But now I know some of the draft picks the Knicks already had from other shitty moves or bad moves or good moves, whatever you want to call it. And NBA draft picks are odd. There are guys in the second round who do end up playing in the NBA. But let's face it, after the first 5 picks, you can go to West 4th Street in the city and get a player to play in the NBA. So, but they given away the house for this guy. And I'm sorry, when you play for the Nets and no one's watching and no one cares, and I just think it's easier to score 19 points a game than it is for your New York Knicks. The Knicks are going to come out of the gate. But I don't know they signed OG, the most expensive contract in Knick history. There's not one Knick fan over 45.
Did you see the Jason Tatum contract last night?
Yeah, well, but
the richest contract in NBA history.
Okay, but the difference between OG and Tatum is like Lawrence Taylor
fair.
and
no
your
fair.
Son, your son.
Money.
Myers.
I was
That's
discussing this. I was discussing this on Twitter with a couple guys. I was like, dude, the money in the NBA is just so ridiculous. Think about it like this. I'll compare it right now. Daniel Jones, who is the quarterback of the New York Giants, is making just as much money as OG Anunoby next year. $40 million for the year. That, to me, you are the quarterback in the NFL, or you are a role player in the NBA, and you're making the same dollars. To me, it's ridiculous. I understand, they play a lot more games. They also get days off. They also get, load management days. There's
load management. They play on Monday. They don't play. When you play on Monday, you don't play to the following Wednesday. It's like that's
what I'm saying. So, I don't know if you can justify this kind of money, but when there's only 13 spots on a roster compared to 52 in football, then I guess you have an argument. But
one thing you got to understand about the NBA,
it's kind of ridiculous.
The NBA is I know the NFL is the king and all that, and they are global, but the NBA is popular all over the world because of the basketball is popular all over the world. Every country now plays hoops. So, listen, I don't mind a guy gives. Hey, I wish I was getting more money to do this fucking podcast, but the bottom line is, and they got rid of Bogdanovich, which is fine. He's shot. Now the Hartenstein thing. Let me explain something. He was signed to the Knicks as a backup. And he came out, and what did he do? He had a great year. So when he took the money, and he's going to play for a team that is also going to be very good now, I say good for him. He didn't do anything wrong. No Knick fan should be mad at him. The Knicks should not have paid him because you know my theory, when a backup starts to play too much, how many times in baseball
who's that
backup comes in?
Who was that Packers quarterback that came in for Aaron Rodgers and lit the world on fire for like
Yeah,
3
yeah,
games,
yeah.
and he got the
I,
biggest contract of all time the
right.
following
He
year? I said,
stinks.
"Holy shit."
And
And
he
I was like,
stinks.
that is just, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I mean, you weren't going to pay that kind of money for him to
Right.
battle it out with Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is
Right.
obviously their guy, whether he's good. Matt Flynn. Thank you, Tyson Hogan.
There you go. Quick three for
Whatchamacall,
Tyson.
Tyson Hogan in the clutch right there. But yeah, you're not going to pay that kind of money for a guy that's going to be a substitute in and out type dude.
Now, but what's good?
But listen, man, look, the Thunder got better. I think Hartenstein found himself in a nice role towards the end because of the Robinson injury.
And let me tell you something. I think Hartenstein, what's great about him is I think he would be a good fit. How many players, it's an interesting question I'm going to ask you. How many players in the NBA would actually be a good fit on any team? He's that kind of guy. In other words, there's no team that says, "No, we don't need a guy like that." Now, if you're asking him to be the man, you got to watch out with that. But I think the Knicks would have loved to kept him. They couldn't. I think they knew that. Now, they got decisions with Randall. I know I don't know.
He's right now, he's projected in your starting lineup. So it's just like, it's crazy. Next year's Knicks, which, by the way, and even my dad said this, and he's a Knicks fan, and he's probably the reason I'm a Knicks fan, but like he was a casual Knicks fan and he watches here and there. The playoffs come, he'll watch. But then like he said that like this is a good time to be a Knicks fan. Like we're very, very excited about next year's team.
Well,
like
listen,
their like Vegas odds look really good to even be in the conference championship next year, which is really great. But it's crazy, Jimmy, because the guys we fell in love with, the Josh Harts of the world, Hartenstein, who's no longer with the team, what's his guy? The backup point guards, guys that started making their name for themselves in this playoff run, they're now friggin' DiVincenzo. He's not going to start. Like Hart's not going to start. That crazy. All of a sudden, Hart becomes John Starks, right? He's the first guy off the bench, But
you know what though?
How many times do we go into these playoff games saying like we got no depth, we got nobody on the bench? Now we do.
And I think Thibodeau's funny though. Like if Thibodeau doesn't think you're playing well, all of a sudden your minutes, like he doesn't play that.
You're out.
I don't know. It's definitely a good time to be a Knicks fan right now. Unfortunately, the Celtics are way better, top to bottom, from coach down to backup players. But you know what? Hey, listen, I think if the Knicks were healthy and they had all their players, they would have gave them a better run than the other teams did. But the Celtics are just awesome. But you know what? It's a different year. They get a little fat. Hey, we won. Next thing you know, the Knicks want to talk it over.
All of a sudden, Jason Tatum becomes champion. All of a sudden, he's now the richest man in the NBA. So bravo to him.
God, but great player. What are you going to do? Yankees. Well, last week, God, the Mets bitch slapped them. Then they got smoked in game one. Since the 3 games loss, blowouts, Yankees have played a little better. Did you see the stat on Judge's last 50 games? He's batting 398. His OPS is 1.439. That's the highest ever for any player in a 50-game span. Like that's like a roof.
Did you see the one? I believe it was posted in Chop Sports. Did you see the stat where Judge's numbers right now won Bryce Harper the MVP a couple years ago? Like he'd be done. No, this is the cutoff right now. He's already got him in RBIs. He's got him in home runs. He's got him in average. And I'm like, holy shit.
He just looks like every – and I don't know why they don't walk him. I'd walk him every time up because why –
My dad said the same thing the other day. He goes, Soto, Judge, just walk them both. See what happens.
That's what I say. Yeah,
you never know.
Now, the other 2 guys, Soto's having a great year as well. He's not signing with the Yankees, I don't think. You know who does stink, although he did well the last 2 games? The biggest problem with the Yankees, I think, is DJ LeMahieu. Dude, he's at that 175 mark. Started to hit a little bit this weekend. If he bats like 280 the rest of the year from now on, the Yankee lineup, that's 3 guys now. And LeMahieu, I guess guys just get old or injured and they suck. And they got Gleyber Torres and it looks like Cole rebounded. And the Yankees are still okay.
Volpe looks really good in his second year. So Volpe looks like he's going to be a star.
His average is starting to drop too, by the way.
They all can't beat bat 706, Jimmy.
No, they all can't beat Jeter. The other problem is I think Cortez stinks And I know Holmes stinks. He pitched the other night in a blowout. He gave up like 2 runs. This guy stinks. I don't know why everybody thinks the Yankees
Yeah,
have to be
they got to
looking.
get another arm or two at the trade
No
deadline,
doubt.
especially if they're buyers, which they should be. Obviously, they got to do something. They got to get another number. They got to get another arm in the bullpen at the very least. Have somebody like, at least compete with Holmes to possibly take his spot as the closer. I've been saying it.
I like to have
Holmes is
Holmes
just
pitch
like,
the 8th. Be great.
right. Put him in a John Wetland role, towards the end of his career, where Wetland started doing the 8th and Mo was doing the 9th. And I mean, you're not going to find another Mo ever, but you might if you take a little of the load off.
Right.
Yeah. But listen, man, it's hard to swallow the Mets losses because the Mets who they are, and they're very excited right now as Mets fans, as they should be. They're probably the hottest team in baseball.
They
But
just lost 2 in a row, though.
To the Astros, nonetheless. So we could have used Jim Mets for you guys to take a couple wins there.
Also, tonight on television is the premiere of the Giants on Hard Knocks. Now,
is it?
I think it's tonight. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
It's this week, I think. I tell you, I got to give I think the Giant front office is horrible, worse than football, maybe the worst, awful. But I think they did a smart move here. The Mariners just were not into this Hard Knocks thing. And I wanted to see it with the Giants on it, but man, it just causes problems, I think. But what they did was they decided to do Hard Knocks, but preseason, like before
it's basically like they're filming from like February to like April.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
I think the Giants said, okay, NFL, you said we have to do this? Fine. Start shooting in February. And by the time any players arrive, I guess they have those OTAs, whatever they have, that kind of crap, mini camps. But I'm curious to see, because those shows, if they want to make you look like an asshole, they can. I'm curious to see how that works out. I enjoy Hard Knocks, but you follow the NFL 100 times more than I do, of course. But I like it when it's on a team like, I don't know, like the Denver Broncos, team that I have no skin in the game. I can care less. Because then you're watching it from a human, like, oh, look at this guy. He's a 2nd-round pick out of Texas. He's trying to make the team. But like when you know the guys, like when I watch the Cowboy one, I can't enjoy it as much because I'm like, fuck the Cowboy. But meanwhile, the story, it's like, so when you watch the Giant one, you're not going to enjoy it as much because
as a football like enthusiast, I'll watch it because I just love everything there is to do with the NFL. But like last year when the Jets were on it, I was all in on the Jets. I was like, this is great. Look at Rodgers slinging that ball, great. And then like Detroit was the year before that, before the whole like player ineligible thing with the Cowboys. Like I was a big fan of all those guys. I was like, look at them. They're little engine that could go Detroit, go, and then they're like, and then we're going to do the Giants. I'm like, fuck those guys. Man.
I know. It ruins it.
Because you're looking sit there and sympathize with Daniel Jones during his recovery. Like,
during the, when you hate the team,
Cowboy hat today.
Like I would kill if they had the Eagles on. Cause then I'd be like, what you do is when you hate the team, you're watching that show and you're looking for a line of it. I remember the Cowboy one. Prescott, the running back, and 2 guys were just hanging out at their apartment, exchanging gifts or something like that. Or they got like a PlayStation 4 ride, whatever it was. It was just innocent. These guys, by the way, they're like 24 years old, 25 years old. Just a bunch of kids with millions of dollars, and they're not assholes. And in real life for the most part, anyway. And all of a sudden, I'm like, look at these scumbags just hanging out in the apartment. I'm thinking, like, that's like, if me and you were making $10 million a year, we were single at 25, we'd be hanging out in your apartment, like, dude, you get the PlayStation 4? Like, hey, let's watch. Like, they're doing exactly. Meanwhile, I'm like, these scumbags hanging out. So when you don't like a team, you're looking for every inch.
Well, it's so funny. It's funny you say that because the Cowboys were on Hard Knocks, I believe, 3 years ago now, or 2 years ago. One of the years where there was like one thing. Like a scuffle in the end zone, like with like Trayvon Diggs and Dak Prescott, and all of a sudden, like the haters came out. Oh, they're not getting along. Look at them; they're not getting along. It's gonna be a rough season, and I'm just like, come on, man.
I know, but it's really it's a great show.
It is.
Same with that documentary Quarterbacks that came out.
Oh, Wide Receivers is coming out, and I believe this week.
Oh, really? Well, I'm going to watch that.
So it's Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Tyreek Hill.
I'm going to watch it because I thought the Quarterbacks one. I mean,
quarterback one was great.
Great because the NFL gave him access, and you got to see. I mean, you don't see everything, but I thought like they really gave access. I don't know if I'm a player. Like the camera was in the car ride home. I'll never forget it. Kirk Cousins on the car ride home. Some jerk off was in the back seat with a little camera. Him and his wife. All you saw was like the side of her hair. Kirk Cousins is driving home, and he was
after a loss in the playoffs,
right? And all he said was, he's like, "Oh, I can't believe we lost to the Giants." And I'm like, because I think every Giant fan was like, I can't believe we just beat the Vikings. Right. I thought that was the most honest moment. It wasn't like he was in a press conference. He was with his wife, just going like, there's no fucking way we should have lost to the Giants. We're better than them. Probably were, you know. I think that's exactly what players do privately. And what players do can you imagine?
And not for nothing, if you thought that Kirk Cousins was a nozzle going in, and if you watch that series, you come away from that series and you're like, I hope this guy wins all the Super Bowls.
And who's the other guy now who's a backup? They just he's on the last legs of his career. The other quarterback. It was Mahomes, Cousins, and
Mariota.
Mariota, who is last inch of his career. You root for him too. His wife's pregnant. You're like,
he got in a game playing for Philly. Like, nonetheless, playing for Philly, I hate his guts. And all of a sudden, he gets in the game. Like, oh, good for him. Good for him.
I think that show is great. I'm going to enjoy the wide receiver one. Hope they do. Sometimes these shows are really good the first season, and then they think, oh, look how good we are, and they produce it shittier the second time. So I'm hoping it stays within that. Really get to know. It's like a 60 minutes on 3 players, and they go week to week. It's awesome. So I guess it's on last season. We're going to cover it. So,
yeah, it is.
But no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. But anyway, Giants will be on Hard Knocks. That ought to be fun. So, you know what's funny though? You ever think like, okay, we kid around Johnny Trino softball, but like, let's just say I was on the Cubs right now. Okay. You would definitely be texting me during the game. There's no question. Like if I fly out like second and third inning, like 2-1 game, and I hit a lazy fly to left, you would be sitting at home and you would write, "Oh, come on, bro, that was shitty."
Nah, I think it would be a little different.
I don't think so, man.
If it was on a grander scale like that, I would be like, he pitched you inside, jam shot, like. But if you're texting me from softball and you're like, I'm 0 for 2, I'm like, dude, you suck.
No, but you know what? I think friends of players are definitely texting them funny shit. There's no way every friend now secondary, third friends on the out, they probably not, but like your good buddies, your drinking buddies since you're 18 years old are definitely like, or say some guy throws a high heat fastball, you're definitely like, oh fuck. Hey, think about the text I know my friends would be, you should read, I think the documentary should be Jimmy's texting with his friends during a game. That should be the documentary, because we say the most horrible, vicious things about our own players, probably harder on our own players than we are the other players. Probably. And we think every player on the other team is better than our guy. But the Giant game, like, but this quarterback's great. Why don't we get him? You find out he stinks too. Anyway, so that's it on that. Of course, which brings us to cornholelevel.com. That's right, Dave. Your cornhole I know my cornhole has been lousy myself. You hook it right on your cornhole. If you're a cornhole fan, there's a big tournament going on in Ramsey. They supposedly have like 800 boards or something. I don't know. I got to talk to Caprio about getting his things there. Hook it on the board. You move it. Just get it right, and it levels out your cornhole. Your wife is constantly letting me know that your cornhole's just not right, Dave. And you got to go to cornholelevel.com. $19.95. Type in JP Show and get a huge 20% off. That's right. So check it out. They are a long-standing sponsor of the Jimmy Palumbo Show, and they also sponsor the showbiz portion. We talked a lot about sports in the first 43 minutes, but I felt it was important. And by the way, anybody says you talk too much about sports, I love sports. So I mean, pickleball.
It's part of your makeup.
Softball.
Like if anybody,
that's who I am.
If they're friends with you, right? If they know you, they should know that sports make up pretty much 95% of your life. So it's like,
and I didn't even mention the fact that Rutgers just signed another 4 4-star players and have the best football recruiting class ever.
Schiano is on a tear.
We're going to have a full preview of Rutgers football in about 6 weeks. But cornholelevel.com sponsors Jimmy's bookings. Dave selects. This is how we do this. we do this masterfully, very simply. Dave just sends me a text. Why don't we talk about this? And then I look it up. I think, okay.
Yeah.
He
No,
gave
listen,
me a couple
I only suggested this one because I thought the scene itself, which we posted online about 2 weeks ago, got a very, very rave response. People were very, very happy about it. So we're talking about Broad City on Comedy
Broad
Central.
City. Now, this season 2, episode 8, Kirk Steele was the name of the episode. And the show stars Alana Glazer, excuse me, and Abby Jacobson. Casting director was a really cool guy who hasn't casted me in a while. I'm going to reach out to my boy Cody Beek, really good casting director. He was really in tune with a lot of these shows, these younger generation shows that came out a couple of years ago, and he was always a fair guy at auditions. I respect that. Of course, now at the pandemic, you don't see the guys. You don't see your casting director. You don't meet your coach. You just send your play in and hope that they think it's the right play. It's awful. It was directed by Lucia Aniello. She was a good person to work with as well. Now, I booked this thing and we shot it. It was an odd thing. My daughter was actually there and she was only 6. And we shot it at Union Square. And this was a lower budget show. So they didn't rope it off too well. We had to actually walk up the subway steps. And they were sitting there with these fake drawings, and I had to act like I wanted one. And then I find out that they just made them up. They weren't like real to the. In other words, Bruce Springsteen was a tomato because New Jersey tomatoes. And I thought it was like, oh, Bruce likes tomatoes, and I just played this jerk off guy. And they said to me, Jimmy, we're going to beep anything out. So improv, say whatever you want. So we did like 6 takes, but you got to remember, some people in New York, they were walking through. There was regular people walking through there. And there I am going, fuck you. And I'm cursing a mile a minute. And
Very
I'm like,
New York of you, by the way.
Very New Yorker, but like people around. Then I realized my daughter, thank God she was only like 6 or 7. She didn't know really what was going on. I'm cursing up with steam. And then we had to do another take, blah, blah, blah. And then I have a couple of lines that make no sense. Like you run out of improv. And I just said, yeah, I've been there. She was like talking about, she was grabbing her crotch. And it was just such a funny thing.
And she's the rocket got strapped to her, man. She took off, within the last couple of years.
Well, they're both unbelievably successful, working on shows and movies and writing and producing, and they were so sweet to me. They just were. We had some common friends, and they just were very. And don't get me wrong, though. I jumped in and hit it quick. I was like, bang, 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 bang. I was like, Palumbo 4 for 5 from 3 athletics. It was, so they knew right away. And then I realized, like, it was another one of those moments. And I hope this doesn't sound cocky, but again, I've been talking about this. It's so hard to book acting work. And believe me, I have a huge audition later on this afternoon, which we'll talk about in a second. And the thing is, like, it's so hard to book these things, man. But what happens, though, once I get in the game, and you're like, oh, my God, you're working with so-and-so. And then I get up. I think the fastball is like 85 miles an hour, and I just drill a double off the wall. And then you get taken out of the game, and you don't play anymore. It's like I always think there's a guy in the upper deck going, why doesn't this guy play every week? Every time I see him, he slaps a double, and Boone takes him out of the game to put in Gleyber Torres. And it's one of those moments. I was on stage. These two are stars, right? And there I was, like, I literally, and I'm not being cocky because I don't mean it to be this. It's like, well, they can't guard me. I'm just going to go right to the hole, lay it up and in. Like, and then, and then you're never seen again for sometimes 6 months or a year. It's so frustrating as an actor. I don't know if any of my actor friends listen to this show. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But they'll totally understand it. Like, there's been a few moments. There's been a few times, though, I'll admit, when I got on a set, I was like, ooh, these people are throwing, I don't think I can hit this. That's happened a few times. I'm not going to lie to you. But the other times, it's like they're just people reading lines. You just get up, you grab the bat, you tap your spikes and slap a base hit over the second baseman's head. It's like, and then, then you can't get on. And then you do auditions, and you think you're doing a great job, and you don't get shit. But one of the funniest things that come out of this episode is a couple of years later, I get a phone call about availability to shoot this short film with an actor called Bob Balaban. He's been in a million things. To do this short film with Susie Essman from Curb. Now, I'd already done Curb. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And work. I played her husband in this weird Microsoft world of the 40s, the 60s, the 90s, each generation sitting at a table, some kind of cool little going through time thing. And so I get to the set and I'm like, how did I book this job? Like, I didn't audition for it. Like, someone had to say, hey, let's get Palumbo. Someone watched me slap a double off Michelle Pfeiffer's head, you know? So I was like, so I'm like, who got me? So I asked the first lady came up, and I didn't know this guy, Bob Balaban at the time, was directing it. So I went to the wardrobe lady, and she's getting me set up. I'm like, hey, who's the guy here? Like, who's in charge? I didn't meet any of them, like the power people. Like, who hired me, you know? Mm-hmm. Putting like $2,000 in my pocket. Shit, you know? So she goes, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I just did an audition for this, and I don't get those handed to me like that, you know? I almost had an audition for Beer League, and I wrote half the shit. So I, Beer League, the series, quote. So next thing you know, Bob Balaban comes over. As soon as I see him, I'm like, I know this actor. This is awesome. He's like, he's real calm. He's like, Jimmy, there's a problem here? I go, no, hey, Bob, I'm Jimmy. I said, I just want to know who hired me. He goes, oh, I did. I said, oh. He goes, I saw your work in Beer League. And I'm looking at this guy going, this does not fit the guy who would know Beer League, right?
Right.
He goes, that was very funny. He goes, and actually, the two girls over at Broad City, I shot an episode of Broad City 3 weeks ago. And I was just sitting in the chairs talking to them. And I was telling them I'm casting this short film. And I need like a regular guy, blue collar guy. And both of them just shouted out, Jimmy Palumbo. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He goes, yeah. He goes, they're very well thought of by them too. I said, oh, that's great. Oh, man. I said, well, thank you for hiring me, blah, blah, blah. Turns out, because of the way the short got produced and where it ended up on the internet, I made like 3 times the money on that short that I did on Broad City. Okay. So I realized I have to reach out to these girls. You know how hard it is? It's one frustrating thing to get in touch with someone that professionally. You either got to go through Instagram and, like you kind of run my Instagram a little bit. Like you would say, hey, Jimmy, someone reached out to you. But like if you have 7 million fans, like you're not going to go, hey, Jimmy, somebody from Iowa says I like, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I really tried 8 different ways to get in touch with these 2 girls. And I did. I got their email. And they were like, oh my God, Jimmy, we're so thankful. That's great. I'm glad you put some money in your pocket. You were great on our show, blah, blah, blah. So by doing Broad City, I got to meet Bob Balaban. I got to work with Susie Essman. So the whole thing, all said and done, it was a really nice gig financially. And I was 4 for 5 with 4 doubles, and I got taken out of the game, and I haven't there is no recurring role there. But that was a fun thing to do, the cursing. And I think it is a funny thing on my reel. You put it up on Instagram, got some nice likes there. So, so that's it for Broad City getting involved. Now, what was I going to say? Of course, I was playing pickleball yesterday, and I wear Dave, because I don't want to get hit in the face. And where did I go? Absolute eyewear. That's right. 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey, 732-326-3937. Craig and Jaybird Michaud, family owned. They're licensed opticians. They got everything. They have Ray-Ban, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Dave Sturchio's Jimmy Choo, Silhouette, Michael Kors Light, Vogue, Maui Jim, Costa Del Mar, and Charles Oakley's kids play in the showroom. Go check it out. $100 off a complete pair. If you mention anything involved with my life, mention Molly Hatchet, maybe you get $110 off a complete pair. Go check them out. They're the best. Talk to Jaybird or Craig, who's the all-time strikeout leader for Corona. He hates,
and he wasn't a pitcher.
And he wasn't a pitcher. That's it. So I'll be going down to Seagate this weekend with my daughter down at my brother's shore house. Should have a good time there. What are you doing for the 4th?
For the 4th, I'd be remiss to not wish my little angel her 5th birthday is tomorrow. So it always falls on 4th of July weekend-ish area. So we're doing a big party for her on Saturday. So listen, Jimmy, I don't know what day, I don't know when you plan on going down, but if push came to shove and there's cross paths, drop on by first.
When is the party? Saturday, you said?
Saturday at 1:00.
Oh, we're going to talk.
Long.
No, I'll be coming back from the shore. So I'll be
because the 4th, so you're coming back.
I'm coming back. I'm going from I'll be down here for 3. I'll be coming back, so we could make a little quick pop in. I'll get your address after.
Yeah. Natalie, I mean, Stella would go bonkers if Natalie showed up.
She would shit. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll stop in, bust your balls.
Shit.
Yeah, to keep it a surprise, I'll let you know. That could work out.
Yeah, for sure.
What else do we have? I have a huge. I know. You know what? Lately, I've been talking about auditions, which I hate when Well, I guess on a podcast, it's okay. I hate when people post about them. I have a huge, but I guess by talking about it, I ain't going to tell you anything about it. Other than, you know what? How many times you hear me say, 2nd and 3rd here, game 7, 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, and here's Palumbo. These are situations, and I do this all the time. I've had auditions where you're like, oh, you know what? If I book it, I'm going to make $3,000. One day shoot, I'm out. Okay. Do you have to get base hits there? Yes, you do. But when it's 2nd and 3rd, you're down and run, and it's game 7 in the bottom of the 8th, and you got Mariano warming up, right? You got to get a base hit here, man. And this is one of them today. It would be recurring and stuff. So this is one of them. This is where Palumbo slider got him. Questions the call. He's, or he hit a chopper to the pitch. And then you get down because then you don't get another big audition. And you're like, you hate yourself.
You're going to put too much pressure on yourself.
Well, that's the thing. I told my buddy today, I called some friends of mine who were involved with the show, and I'm like, I'm starting to think back the old days when Artie, I still book work. Don't get me. I make it sound like sometimes I don't work ever, and that's not true. I'm always in the game somewhere. My theory is as long as every year you have a couple of auditions that are game changers, you're still in the game. You got to eat ramen noodles, but you're still in the game. You're still on the roster. Pete Sheehy gets your uniform. That joke is funny to 5 people. Venditti just drove off the road. No doubt, Venditti.
He just got back on the road.
He got back on the road. I just said Pete Sheehy. You know who he was?
No.
Okay. Pete Sheehy was the clubhouse manager since Babe Ruth all the way to like Mantle. He died in like 84. He was the guy who gave you the number. So in other words, if you were a rookie, he gave you your number. But if you sucked, you got a 67. And then he was the guy. He worked the clubhouse for 70 years at Yankee Stadium. He was the guy. Wow. He's famous in Yankee lore, but no one knows what I'm talking about.
Right.
And anyway, so I have a big and I got to give a shout out to my boy Dave DeLisi, who will leave work a little early to come and help me with the audition. We got the lights set up, and I got to do this, that, and the other thing. Tricky audition. And hopefully, you know what? I got to hit it. I want to drop the bat on this one.
Well, I guess, can you at least release if it's a series or a commercial?
It's a series.
Okay.
It's cool. Where you want to be. I already mentioned that Deej and I are going to be coming down to the War at the Shore. Is it on or at? Why am I getting this
on? On the shore.
And it's critical. Then there's a lot of at the shore things. So you got to say on the shore, right? War on the shore. I got to make sure I get that right. We'll be doing that. What else I want to say at Shea here? There was one other thing. Oh, okay. We got to discuss something. I think, listen, I'm always in touch with my feminine side. Okay. I am watching this TV show. Okay. And when my core audience, the Tyson Hogans, Darryl Clarks of the world, and Pat Volkemers, when they hear what I'm about to say, they're going to be like, no, say it ain't so, Jimmy.
You're watching the Dallas Cowboys documentary.
No, this would be like me having tea and crimpets with Jerry Jones. I am watching Call the Midwife on Netflix. It's a BBC show. Dude, it's the most relaxing, beautiful, well-acted show. My heart goes pit-a-pat. I'm having a glass of Chardonnay. I'm watching these awesome actors. Vanessa Redgrave, quick 3 for the dude does the voiceover. It's such a beautiful show, but it's 12 seasons in. I never even heard of this show. My sister said, Jimmy, it's a great show. But let me tell you something. Each one is individual, so it's like Law and Order. You don't have to, if you watch one, you don't have to go, oh my God, I'm not going to bed to watch 2. It's not like that. And I'm actually enjoying that. I used to love when you want to watch them right in a row. And this show is just Tyson Hogan said you're cool anyway, but yeah, just watch. If I'm convinced
You
of
know
a
what?
guy.
I want to watch Your Honor. I heard that was really good.
Your Honor, you can't go to bed afterwards because it shakes you. That's how dramatic it is. Me and my buddy Dave.
I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start that tonight.
Dude, like you will be like, oh, and the acting and the music, it's intense.
I love Cranston. I love Bryan Cranston.
And you'll love the other guy. I can't think of his name. He's a great actor. It's great. I loved it. Loved every aspect of that one. Complete opposite of Call the Midwife. Complete opposite. You watch Your Honor and you won't be able to go to sleep. You have nightmares, and you watch Call the Midwife. You just want to. You'll give your wife a little hug and a little kiss on the cheek as you roll over and go to sleep, Dave. Or maybe you'll go into the kids and pat them on the hiney a little bit. Get that, my boy. But Your Honor, you might like go up and yell at your kids for no reason. I saw that crayon mark on the wall. But anyway, it's a great show. Also, I've been watching the Game of Thrones thing.
The House of Dragon or whatever.
First of all, okay. And we'll get off the air right after this. Game of Thrones was great, but this show, awful casting in terms of look. Everybody looks the same. You watch it. Wait a minute, which guy's that? Is that the brother? Is that the son? Everybody's got blonde hair. One guy's got no eye, so you get that. Okay, the guy with no eye, I know who he is, but he's got the same long hair as the other guy, and they're talking about kingdoms that. Oh yeah, that was in the first. I don't know whether I'm watching the first Game of Thrones, the last one. It's like the most confusing show. And I used to say during Game of Thrones, unless the dragons are just not, I love when the dragons come in and fry a whole town. Then you're like, oh, Game of Thrones. This is like all dialogue, drinking wine around a table. Like nobody wants to hear that. You just want to completely, but I like it because it comes on once a week. I'm a fan of the genre, but I'm getting a little bored. I think people got to feel the same way as me. Like someone's got to die. Which cast member is going down right now? So I'm hoping next week. But that happened one year in Game of Thrones. I was bored to death through 5 episodes. And next thing you know, fourth quarter is 27 points, and Game of Thrones takes the early lead here at Shea. Anyway, it's still a great show. I love it. Don't forget Pine Tar Bar and Grill, 121 South Main Street, Fork and River, best sports bar ever. I want to give a shout out to my boy Tommy Plinio and his family. I know you guys are going through some stuff, and hopefully everything's going to work out just fine. Also, Lisa Ruane, 201-725-1251. Therapist, give her a call, and she'll help you out if you got some issues in the mental health arena. I don't want to talk about it more than that, but if you're in a jam, you got to call somebody, and she's one of them, so give her a shout for sure.
I just started again today, Jimmy. So
what'd you start?
I need it. Therapy.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I
gotta do it, man.
Well, you know what? One of these shows, what we should do, I think it would be great because you and I we listen, we like to act like we're 10 years old, but and by the way, all sports, and you know this, it's all bullshit. It's just escapism. Who cares? Like, yeah,
sure.
If your kid's not feeling well and your team loses, you're like, my team lost. But then you go right to your kid. You know what I mean? Like, as you get older, you're still pissed when your team loses. But like, if there's any issue going on in the family, you let it go. We should do I don't want to say a mental health show. That sounds stupid, but I think it'd be interesting to talk what your thoughts are on therapy and mine, and I think it would be a cool thing. Maybe we should try that. Maybe I'm
game. I'm game for anything. So
you know what it is. If it helps, and I sound like Oprah now. If it helps just one person,
honestly, dude. That's the only reason why I would tell anybody about it, because it's like if I could. Somebody messaged me the other day saying, "Man, thanks for letting me know that you're doing this because, somebody on the exterior with the tough exterior like myself, if I'm the one tapping out, you know what I mean? Like saying like, look, man, I need a fucking beat. I know. I get it.
And we'll talk about the pros and cons of it and how it works or doesn't work. You know what? We're doing that next week. Actually, what's next week is we're going to have trouble during, I guess, the week of the wrestling thing We're not going to be able to do the show Tuesday.
Yeah,
Can we do it Monday? Will you be too busy?
Probably. I think that'll be all right. That should be fine.
We'll have to figure it. Anyway, so we'll be there next week. And that's it. All right. Good night, everybody. Fun show. And I'll see you next week with a very special guest.
Yeah, Dave's
good night, everybody.